Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Murrieta Waldemar Chamber of Commerce. I'm glad to see you all here this morning. Glad you got your coffee and donuts. Without further ado, before we get started and hand it over to Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Warren, I do want to thank our sponsors, Avatar Website Design, Tom's in the house, Duncan for the donuts and coffee, Social Indoor, and Western Water for their support in running this program. Now, I will turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Warren.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Morning.
Okay, if you are a current city employee, please stand up because you're all hiding in the back.
Yeah.
Stand up.
All right. Throw things.
Yay, for our team. Thank you. We wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we are well represented. No, I'm not going to. All right, future city employee, please stand up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather, he made me do it.
It's okay.
Well, I am your Mayor Pro Tem, and my name is Cindy Warren, and it's an honor to be here today. And thank you all of you for joining us. I know that you have lots of fun things you'd rather be doing on a Tuesday morning, but being with us was your best choice. Before we get started, I wanted to make a couple of announcements. Coming up this Friday is the greatest and the best annual Dark in the Park event Town Square Park ever holds. It is a Halloween extravaganza, free for families. Please come out, join us. There'll be lots of candy, lots of trick-or-treaters, and a lot of fun. So please join us on Friday. And I believe it starts at 5:30. Thank you. I thought I had that right.
Just got my estimate.
Then, as you know, we're going to be heading into November, and you don't want to miss out on our 16th annual Murrieta Field of Honor. It's a moment to take in all the service that has been given to our country. And our Rotary Club does an outstanding job along with the city of Murrieta and all their sponsors. And it literally can take your breath away. If you go there in the evenings and you just look at the lights and watch the flags waving, it's freedom in the highest regard. So please stop by Town Square Park and take it all in. But don't forget, the Veterans Day Parade is November 11th. That is always a fun-filled event, and you'll get to see lots of fun bands and kids and horses and lots of good things. So please come out and join us for that. And now I would like to introduce the one, the only, the amazing economic development team. Started off with their director, Mr. Scott Agajanian.
More importantly, we got James Wirtz in the house, people. Business development. We have Assistant City Manager Kristen Crane. Let's get this going. This is going to be an interactive affair. So if we just sit up here and talk through slides, this is going to bite. What we'd really like to do is have a conversation, talk about what's going on in the city, get you to ask questions, get you to ask why we're making the decisions we're doing. Let's have a nice interactive dialogue today. Starting off with, let's find out who our team is. So this is the economic development team in the back corner. We've got Martha Semeniego. She is the management analyst for economic development. And we've got James Wirtz and myself. And this is the entire team for economic development. It will never change. It's going to be like this for all time. Moving right along. So this is what we're going to go through today. Our commercial centers, our restaurants, and our retail. Starting with our commercial centers. Has everybody been paying attention to the triangle? Does everybody know what the triangle is? Right. Does everybody believe in the triangle?
Absolutely.
No. So the triangle was recently approved at our city council meeting. Our council approved a project to come forward. We believe that there is an amazing chance to see a really beautiful development on the triangle. Triangle is the 65 acres between the 15 and the 215 freeway. It has been sitting undeveloped for a long, long time, but this is the season to develop it. This is the group that's going to develop it. The group that owns it right now is very passionate about seeing a project come forward, and the city team is very passionate about seeing a project, and we've aligned in a way that has not happened in the past. And on this site, you're going to find really wonderful restaurant, entertainment, and retail opportunities that don't normally come to a city like Murrieta. So we're a city of 120,000 people down here at the south end of Riverside County. These kinds of projects, think more like Victoria Gardens, the type of users that come into a place like that, the type of users that people come from a long distance to stop at, the type of users that people stop on the way to wine country to visit and play and have fun at. This is that kind of center. We couldn't be more excited. This is absolutely a game changer for the city. For years I've said, if we don't get this out of our inventory, great uses won't come here because they all say, I would go to Murrieta, but only on the triangle. Well, now the triangle is getting built and they all have the opportunity to go on the triangle. So this is something to be very excited about because this is going to change the way the city looks. This is going to be the point of entry as you're coming north on the 15 freeway. You see the triangle break off at the 15 and 215, and you're going to see something really grand there. So we could not be more excited. That being the case, we can't tell you what's on there, but I can promise you you're all going to love it more than you've ever loved anything in your entire life, including your children. This is going to be your favorite thing. Wonderful items are coming to the triangle. All right, James, why don't you take one? Tell me what the next center is, the Murrieta Marketplace.
All right, thank you, Scott. Yes, the next project that's coming to the city is, of course, the Murrieta Marketplace. And if you're not familiar where that is going to go, that is going to be on 79 North, bordered on the north by Max Gillis, on the south by Clinton Keith. The center over there, that's much like the Triangle, has been hotly anticipated for probably the last decade, if not longer. Approximately 550,000 square feet is approved to go over there. Is there anything we can announce there? Or
No.
no? Okay.
Really cool stuff, though.
Really cool stuff. Again, desperately needed over in that French Valley in the eastern Murrieta corridor. So we're looking forward to that. We're going through the final phases of the conditions of approval there. So hopefully we'll start to see some dirt fly there, I don't know, in maybe spring of next year. So we're really looking forward to that. Again, great tenant's going to go into that project.
And so why do cities like having big shopping centers right on the edge of the city, kind of like when we put the Costco Center in up on the north end of town? Because it brings shoppers from outside the area, right? So the idea here being if we can get French Valley shoppers shopping in our really big shopping center, that revenue comes to Murrieta. That helps us to do things like build the next fire station. So in that area, we're looking at fire station number 6. City is currently working on a plan to find and purchase a site to add that fire station, and that will add quicker service to the east side of town, something that's really needed over there. But those things get funded with retail. It does not get funded with residential. The property tax that comes in does not generate enough revenue to the city to pay for police and fire. That's why you need these retail centers to come along, and when you put them on the edge of the city, it helps you bring in shoppers from out of town. So that helps to grow the revenues of the city, and helps to grow the city. So the interactive portion of this so far has been very poor. I want to tell you guys, shifting this back to you, not to say that you've all done a bad job, but the idea that there's no question about the triangle, even to say what's going on, and I say I can't tell you, like there would have been, here we go.
Are you working with Ryan McCormick?
No, we will never work with Ryan McCormick. No. Yes.
Who's Ryan McCormick?
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm not working with him.
Hey, Scott, I noticed
Name
there's
doesn't ring a bell.
some grading going on across Murrieta Hot Springs. I would say it's on the northeast, like the on-ramp to the I-15. What's going on there?
So, in the state of California, we have wisely decided that everything should be a house because we can't grow our population because there's not enough homes. So the state has mandated that certain areas be dictated to be transient-oriented districts or TOD zones. That means that you can build multifamily on them very easily. And they've also said that cities must comply with timelines to get multifamily in as quick as possible so we can get housing online. That project is going to be a lot of multifamily, a whole lot. Something close to 900 units on 40 acres. It's called the terraces because it had a shelf. You see the grading going on and it's de-shelving a little bit. But it had a nice corner on the bottom that I was really hoping to see retail come in on. We were unsuccessful in getting that accomplished because at this point, the state has really made it very easy for housing to go in and very difficult for cities to not put housing in. That being the case, the city needed some more housing, but you're seeing quite a bit right now. There is some single-family housing coming in, but there's a lot of multifamily coming in. And there's really not much we can do for it other than plan for it and try to be prepared for the amount that's coming in. So, sorry, that's not the good news, but those people are going to love the opportunity to walk right across the street into the Triangle and have an amazing time at the new entertainment destinations that are going in there.
Is there a high-end restaurant that starts with F going in there?
So I would never use the F word, but I would say this. The kinds of restaurants that you're going to see on this side, I've always said Murrieta is a boutique dining city because we don't tend to get the national chain restaurants. We get mom and pop restaurants and we have really, really good ones. I will continue to say, if you haven't been to Kanzaman or what's going to be the new Chef's Grill, they're rebranding right now, or Nono's or Anthony's, Formosa Teriyaki, one of my favorite places. Like, we get all of these cool one-off dining opportunities that are just unique to Murrieta, and I think we just have Destination Smokehouse. If you haven't tried that, I've got to get over there. We're going to talk about all those in a minute on the restaurant side. This center will be different. Because Temecula incorporated first and it has a mall, and they have a bunch of restaurants that go around a mall, they tend to get all the national chains, and then we're too close to them in proximity to put another one here. But this center is going to be different. This center is going to be some really nice, probably some boutique dining, but a lot of national chain, high-level, nice restaurants that don't normally tend to come here. When you look at our region, there's not a lot of steak restaurants. There's not a lot of high-end restaurants. This is going to have those opportunities. You're going to see a lot of the stuff that you'll find out in Orange County or along the coast coming to this kind of a center. So we're very excited about the restaurants that are going there, although we cannot say who they are quite yet.
Okay.
Yes, in the back.
Not to be a nay, but I'm just curious. I've spoken with you before on this, but I kind of feel like we're a little bit late to the game, Murrieta.
Oh, we are.
We're stuck between what Menifee is building up to and what Temecula has built up to. And here we are trying to carve a niche for ourselves, but yet if we want to have fine dining, we still have to leave our city.
So,
Don't we need to bring the money here?
Murrieta is like a Saturday, right? We woke up at noon. We were a little bit late getting up and getting going, but when we got rolling, we were really partying now. So you're absolutely right. We did wake up late. We decided to let some of our neighboring cities get the jump on us in terms of getting started with recruiting retail, recruiting hotels, recruiting shopping malls, recruiting things like auto malls. But it's left us some opportunity because sometimes when you wait a little bit, you get the chance to really plan out for what the future looks like. And the future doesn't necessarily look like major shopping malls. It might look a little bit different. It might be more destination centers and placemaking and entertainment centers. So sometimes waiting a little bit gets you a bigger view of the global picture of what the world's going to look like in the future, and we can really kind of acclimate towards that. That being the case, we're a little bit late on food because a lot of our residents, the one thing we'll hear is we don't want to have to drive to another city to eat because traffic's getting bad and it takes too long to get there and back and they can't make a lunch break work. That being the case, we'll get some more restaurants. We will definitely try to keep up with the growth of the city in terms of adding growth to those marketplaces, particularly dining. And what I think you'll see is our restaurants are a lot better than people realize, and there's a lot more choices. We make a dining guide that James works on every year, and the new one's coming out. You'd be amazed at how many new restaurants have come in the last year. And we'll be talking about that soon. So it's getting better, but it's going to get a whole lot better. So good point, though. Yes?
So, just two quick questions. When you say multi-housing units, is that apartments, or are we talking townhomes and home ownership?
So, two things. We love townhomes and condos because it is home ownership and it's pride of ownership. That particular project is apartments. There are projects in the city that are for purchase. A lot of them are going on the east side of town, but there are going to be for purchase product that's coming out that is in the multifamily space. In this case, it is rental, it is apartments, and we don't have a say in that. The city doesn't have the ability to dictate to a developer whether it's a for sale product or a for lease product.
As I drive around Murrieta, I see huge amount of apartment complexes.
Yes.
When do we max out on apartments and start building multifamily townhomes where you have people who own property and have private ownership versus rental property that has a
Sure.
problem?
Okay, well, really quick, our Assistant City Manager, Kristen Crane, will give some insight, and then I will as well.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up because this is a topic that we hear a lot about when we're out in the community. A lot of questions, and like we were talking about, this is not something that the city of Murrieta has initiated. This is really coming from a series of housing laws that have been put in place by the state legislature, making it really challenging for cities. We are not the only city that is in this position, and so we have to prepare what's called a housing element. Every 8 years, each city has to do that to plan out where housing would be, and it has to be certified and approved by the state of California, which is a really challenging process. And you have to plan out where you would put housing to accommodate a certain number that they dictate each city has to plan for. So we're in that mode. And I think in terms of like Scott was saying, like what the product is, whether it's an apartment or a townhome, or if it's for sale or if it's for a rental, that piece is dictated by the market. So I'm curious myself to see, as all these multifamilies coming online, how the market's going to respond. I think we're already kind of seeing and hearing that there could be a little softening there with developers that maybe are talking about housing on different projects, that maybe they're gonna feel it out a little bit and see, is multifamily rental the right product or something different. And so we then as a city Our role is how do we respond to that? How do we make sure that we have adequate facilities to support that? Public safety is key, parks and recreation, the library, and so forth, in order to preserve the quality of life that everyone in Murrieta loves, the reason that we're here in the first place. So it is a growth pain that we're experiencing, and we're not alone, and that's a little overview.
So right now, Murrieta has about 70% home ownership. It's one of the reasons why it's such a great city, because people do take pride when they own their place of residence. And we don't want to see that go away, but there are some things that we don't control. We do promote as much as possible when new projects come in that we'd like to see it be for purchase product. But like I said, we don't control that. So I share the concerns. We definitely are concerned about that. One thing I'll say is when you see all these units that are coming in and applications are being submitted, they don't all get built. So you're seeing some projects go up and some will get built, but it never all comes to fruition. Kind of cycles come and go. So sometimes there's a market cycle where it's very easy to finance these projects. And over time, they may see enough market product comes on where they decide not to build them all. And another piece on some of the rental pieces, there's a project along Jefferson, and the name's going to escape me right now, but as you're heading up towards City Hall on the right-hand side, there's a beautiful, very high rent product coming in. Some of this is very luxury lifestyle living. It is very nice, kind of like what you'd see in Irvine. Even if Irvine doesn't have 100% home ownership, the rentals out there are very, very nice. When you get product like that, it does inspire people of a little bit of a higher income level to come in. So it kind of helps keep those income levels up, which is something that we have here. Yes?
So all of these units that are going in, the multifamily, they're privately owned by investors, and that's a question. And then are they slated for affordable housing? Are they rent control? Is there any of that going on here?
There is some of that. There's a couple of projects specifically that are affordable housing. Now remember, affordable housing in Murrieta, I think, starts at $75,000. If your income is $75,000 or below, you qualify for affordable housing in Murrieta because our income rates are so high. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of projects that do have affordable components. There are many projects that are market rate. There are some that are premium rate, and there are some that are for purchase. There's a complete blend. The nice thing about a community is you need a blend of housing. So we have a wonderful area to our west where you have some large estate homes. We have things like Rear Ranch and some nice gated communities like Bear Creek that have some high-value homes. Then you have a nice broad range of that kind of 4-bedroom, 3-bath, kind of the meal ticket normal family homes. And then you're going to have some apartments and townhomes. You want to have a blend of housing. We were a little bit maybe far on the housing on the single-family side, but we don't want to see that shift too far to the other direction. Right.
So
okay.
do we know what the rent range is for all these? I know you said 75,000 is the income limit, but
Right. Well, do you mean on affordable housing? Do you mean on market rate?
Right.
I mean, market rates I've seen in the mid twos, sometimes up into the threes, and some of the new product that I was talking about is in the high threes. So
that's affordable.
That's not the affordable housing. That's the premium. Yes. Okay.
I have a question to circle back to the triangle, like to put it back on
Thank you.
note for a second.
I've never thanked somebody for circling back to talk about the triangle in public space. So let's do that.
In regards to that project, when is the estimated completion? Since we have been as Murrieta, like so far back, like granted, like you get like the grand scope of it, just like what you said, as far as like, oh, now we can make certain decisions. But from start, when is the actual estimated completion that like we can actually start to use that area?
I would believe that you will see dirt moving in the beginning of early next year, which would be 2025, and you will see businesses open early mid-27. So, and that would be the first phase. The first phase is going to be about 280,000 square feet of retail and restaurant and entertainment. And then you'll see a future phases come along in very quickly after that. Okay.
For all the new multifamily apartments that are coming in, I just have a question. Is there a mandated like Section 8 or low income type of rental unit? I'm just trying to see what kind of people might be moving into all this.
So the vast majority is market rate. Okay, there's a couple of projects that have some affordable housing. There's one wonderful one in the downtown that has a Boys and Girls Club on site, and it has finance programs for the people that do get the affordable housing opportunity to then get financial counseling to help them get into a home. So even the affordable projects that we have here are very sophisticated. And I think we have one in the back.
Well, I was just wondering why, and you may not be able to answer this, but why the secrecy on the triangle and what's being developed? I mean, excuse my skepticism, but I've been here for 25 years, and I've heard everything from Western theme park to retail, and now you're telling us that this is going to be amazing, but you're not giving specific?
Because tenants have the right to have a non-disclosure agreement and not have their name out in public until they've actually submitted the application as a part of something that would be able to be reviewed as a public record. So in the meantime, when they're signing leases with a private owner, that can stay confidential between them. That is not our right to come speak about. It would be a misuse of our knowledge to share something that is currently secret. But when we're allowed to, and we, believe me, behind the scenes, our mayors and mayor pro tems are bugging them saying, let us announce, let us announce, let us announce. Sometimes secretly we'll give you little hints and we'll try to convey to you without saying the words. And I think there's already been some hints in the room. So sometimes things can kind of slip a little bit, but generally speaking, when a private owner and a private business are negotiating a deal, and maybe they've come to terms on what's called an LOI, a letter of intent, but they haven't signed a lease yet, that's still a very sensitive era between the two parties. And what you wouldn't want to do is announce something and have it get out and have people start talking about it before they've been able to secure their final agreements, because it could affect those negotiations.
Okay, so nothing's signed.
There are multiple leases signed on site, but there are many that are still in negotiation. Okay, yes?
What's going on in Village Walk?
Oh, look at that. She's trying to direct me back to the path of travel on the thing here. But look, I love the grilling is so much better than just going through a PowerPoint. So we're going to do Village Walk right after this. You had a question.
That sounded like a TV.
That was. And now,
Gosh, it blew my mind. I was just wondering, are there any secret plans for Old Town Murrieta?
all of the plans in Old Town Murrieta are secret. First of all, downtown Murrieta, don't let Old Town sound so old.
Downtown, well,
So
sounds good.
there's an approved plan for a mixed-use building, and I was actually just speaking to the broker for that building yesterday. They have secured a restaurant to go into it. So on the very corner, on the southeast corner of Washington and Calmia, there is an approved plans for a mixed-use building that will have residential on top, but restaurants on the bottom. Very cool, because the idea of downtown is walkability, that you can live there, eat there, shop there, drink there, have fun there. And so this would be a great example of that kind of building. It would be just north of Anthony's and the Crafted Scone. And so this is an approved building that says they've secured their funding and they're going to start grading very soon.
Yeah.
They plan to have 2 to 3 restaurants downstairs, about 17,000 square feet of restaurants, so a very large restaurant and a couple medium-sized. And they've secured 1 and almost 2 of those restaurants right now. So I'm feeling very confident that that one will get built as well. And really think it'll be a cool new dining experience that'll be coming in there. We really want more food in the downtown. Our downtown has 7 or 8 restaurants. Temecula's has like 38. So we're really short on dining in the downtown. And that's one of those opportunities to bring more restaurants in.
Anything else further?
As you head down, we have big plans for what is Joni's Cantina. Belgian Beaver bought it and had planned to put a restaurant brewery in there, and unfortunately they just ran out of funds. And for a lot of different reasons. Okay.
So to kind of go back to like what she was talking about, again, I'm circling back all the time. How do you guys expect to put more restaurants in the downtown area if there's an issue with like sewer and water?
Yeah, so the city has created a revolving fund to help fund sewer connection fees in the downtown. It's the only place in the city that we have that. So to try to promote restaurants in the downtown area, we've created a $100,000 very low or no interest loan program where if you can't afford the fees, we help you finance them now, and then you pay them back as your restaurants open. That's one way. We also have plans for off-site parking to allow restaurants to maximize their space. Those are in terms of financing new development. And it's working great because we have a new approved project to go at the top of downtown. For the existing buildings, that is a large cost for a building to convert to a restaurant. That's also available for the loan program. In the back.
Just real quick question, as far as like development and everything else, we have enough 7-Elevens, car washes,
Storage centers?
places. Beyond Market is now trying to come. When are we gonna, and now there was just a news article that said 7-Eleven was gonna be shuttering like 450 of their stores in Southern California. I understand Southern California is huge. But do we really need to have that many 7-Elevens within a mile to 2-mile radius of each other?
Are you hinting that the invisible hand of the market gets it wrong sometimes? So there's 2 schools of thoughts on this. One is that you let the market decide what the market needs, and you've created a general plan and a code that allows businesses to come out and choose what kind of business they want to open. And the other is that the city should tell private business how they run and operate. And that would be saying, let's put a moratorium on certain uses that we don't find appealing. And generally speaking, If the market thinks that there's too many storage centers, they stop building them. But the problem is, everyone in this room is using enough storage centers to justify more storage centers. Our storage centers are like 98% full. There's actually a huge demand for more storage centers. That's because all of us own more stuff than we ought to. We all have way too many decorations and knickknacks. And multiple families, it's a great point. When you have a situation like the state of California does, where you have multiple families living in a house, they don't have any room for their stuff, they store their stuff off-site. I was talking to a business in our business park yesterday who has 4 storage centers just because their business can't fit in their space, but there's no new development to help them get into one, and that's one of the things we're trying to solve. So, in some respects, people need that storage. And if we didn't build more, the cost would skyrocket, and people would pay a fortune for it. So that's one example. The other is, people are using convenience stores like crazy. They're getting grocery and milk and lunch and whatever else they might grab along the way. If it wasn't so popular, they would not build them. But every time a new car wash comes in, you think, that's it, there's too many car washes. The line is around the block, and it stays busy for eternity. So it comes down to cities you'll see from time to time create a moratorium. That is a risky political move because you're asking a policymaker to tell business that it can't operate in a place that it's legally allowed to operate in because we've decided it's too much. That is a really hard stance to take. Generally, what you want in a free open economy is businesses to have the ability to make those decisions for themselves based on a market study and survey. And when you study our market, they want those things. So I guess the answer is, if we don't like them, we won't shop at them. And if we want things that we like to come to the community to happen more, like restaurants, dine in your restaurants. When we open a new restaurant, if you don't support it, more restaurants will follow it. So we kind of have the end say on that. The consumer always does. But I get what you're saying, because sometimes I look at it, and I've talked to developers who say, hey, I want to put a car wash there. And I'm like, really? Because there's one 3 feet away. Are you sure you want to do that? Aren't you concerned about it? But all I can do is encourage and suggest. I cannot tell them no. That is their right. Yes.
So the car wash thing is very popular on social media.
Yes, oh, I bet.
It has been.
That's why I don't like social
And
media.
people are asking, but
For all of you in Facebook land.
anyone who's watching the permits get applied knows there's thousands of people going to be moving in here to all these apartments that don't have a place to wash cars. So we can sit there and go, oh, well, or we can go, hey, good job, like skating to where the puck's going to be, right? My question more is on what you spoke of about either letting the free market or taking the unpopular, I think was your words, decisions or the shaky ground to dictate what can and can't be in your city. So, there's dispensaries surrounding us with customers going in there. I gotta believe these are gold mines. They're just amazing. The big question, why are we not allowing these tax revenue things in our city when we have plenty of alcohol sales, which generate more crime, or the root of most crime, especially violence crimes?
So, great question, and there's a lot of paths to go down on this, but generally speaking, third safest city in the country. Public safety is very big. We take a lot of our police input on issues like that. And one thing we've heard from PD is that it's a gateway that opens up a lot of other problems. Our PD has surveyed other cities who have opened up the door to dispensaries. And when they hear that the challenges that they're having, not only there, but around that area, it is something that they don't want to expose the city to. This city was founded on one major issue, which is public safety. And how do we have our own police and fire and be a full service city? That public safety piece, very important. I think the wagon may have already left the station on alcohol, right? We're not very big on, and you'll notice there's only one, and it's grandfathered in from years ago, there's only one license for liquor license in the city that doesn't include food. All of this here is restaurant dining where you might be able to have a glass of wine. There's only one pure bar license, and that is Joni's in the downtown. Many cities have many, many more than that. You don't see that here. We've curtailed it as much as we can. But generally, the answer is public safety. How do we keep this to be the safest city we can? And at the same point, when we talk about the triangle and entertainment uses, how do we become more destinational and fun, but without becoming unsafe? That's why everything that you're going to see the city looking to bring in is going to be things that integrate activity, fun, dining, entertainment, and then you may be able to get a drink there too, but it's not centered around that.
So while the science, the data, and decades have shown that alcohol is responsible for these violent crimes, and we're doing a great job here in Murrieta, despite that, lowering alcohol and supporting something else, I mean, it's not far for me to go to Wildomar. It's not a
Right.
big deal.
But we don't control them.
And thousands of us I see walking in and out those doors sending our money to Wildomar. There's just a shell game of what's dangerous. And using
Sure.
a gateway thing from the 70s, that like, oh, it's a gateway maybe because you lied and we found out. Now we're trying to experiment to see what else is a lie.
Yes, and at the end of the day, those thoughts that people have on those subjects have changed and evolved over the years. And you will probably continue to see that happen. But today, here's where we sit.
Is this
And
something the council discusses every once in a while, or is this not even on the table?
It is not something that we discuss on a once in a while. We have discussed it, and when we are looking for the advice from our police department, because being the safest city, one of the safest cities in all of Riverside County, is so important, and in California, and that's why we have quality of life here. We don't want to lose that. And so right now, we are leaning on our police department to give us the advice that we need so we can make good policy decisions.
Gotcha.
And now, Village Walk. So does everybody know where Village Walk is?
Nope.
One person knows where Village Walk is because Grace Grace is in Village Walk, everybody. Go check them out. Fantastic charcuterie. So, Village Walk, a few years ago, was the least populated center in the city of Murrieta. It had a 50% vacancy rate, and it had an ownership group that wasn't really interested in filling the spots in there. City worked with them to sell the site. New ownership came in and purchased it. And since then, they're starting to fill in those spaces. And what I'll say is this, by next year, I think you'll see a full Village Walk. It will have the same occupancy that the rest of the city has. So it's an example of trying to take an existing center, which was a nice center, has good visibility from the freeway, a little bit of accessibility. You have to kind of turn off the freeway and make a couple rights to get into it. But I think you will find in the next year or so that it will be grocery anchored, which has always been the owner's plan. And a store will be coming into that space. They've opened a Dollar Tree. They've also got an application in for an Urban Air, which is an indoor trampoline park where you can jump and backflip and crack an occasional leg. And you will find there's an Indian restaurant opening in there. They've got plans for another restaurant to come in. I think that center is going to fill up and be much like the rest of the city, where we're about 96% full on our retail spaces. So Village Walk is a real success story in terms of taking a center that was underperforming, getting new ownership in there, and working with them to try to fill those spaces. So we're very excited about Village Walk and what's coming to it. The Indian restaurant is called Tiki Taka.
That's great.
And they've got the sign up on it. Looks like they're doing their tenant improvements right now. It should be coming along pretty soon. So we're very excited to see that come along. Now, look, I want to say thank you all because I love a lot more questions, discussions, and debates than just going through slides. You guys did a fantastic job. But now we're going to run into restaurants. James is going to take over on restaurants for us. We've mentioned some of these along the way. But James is going to give you a rundown of all the new dining that's coming in that we can talk about. And then we're only going to hint the restaurants that we can't talk about.
Secrets.
No, everything. I think everything's out there.
Okay.
Like I said, thank you, Scott. So again, as Scott mentioned, we have a lot of mom and pop or boutique type of dining in the city, and that trend's going to continue. We all know that RJ's Sizzling Steer closed, of course, late last year, or I'm sorry, probably early this year. Sorry, that was purchased by a group out of Las Vegas. They plan to change that into an Asian fusion type bar called Juan's. They're remodeling right now. We don't have an opening date for them, but we're hoping soon. Also in the old El Patron / Golden Corral building, we have Lynn's Buffet that'll be going in. They're going through their tenant improvements right now, and hopefully that'll be open shortly after the first of the year.
But James, will Mongolian barbecue be available in Lynn's?
Man, it will be. There will be Mongolian barbecue inside. This is an 11,000 square foot building. You will get more Mongolian barbecue than you can possibly stand. Yes. So see, does Temecula have Mongolian barbecue? I don't think they do. So we'll make up for them.
Is this a chain or is this a one-off? Have they done something?
It's a chain out of Arizona. They have about 11, 12 stores in Arizona and a couple in Texas.
Yeah, it's a family-owned chain, so they're kind of growing in the Southwest. So we're excited to have them here.
Question for you in the back.
Who has a question? Matt?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
Are
Okay.
you sure, Matt?
Are you
I
sure?
was just letting you know that there are 3 Mongolian barbecues.
So I'm going to run down the restaurants real quick, and then you can fire the questions at me. I'll be real
Have
quick
them
about
ready.
this.
Come
But
on.
yes, we have the Boys Pizza, which is going into Murrieta Town Center. Of course, that's where Mama Rosa's Pizza used to be. Consuman is doing an expansion. Now open is Capriotti's. If you haven't been to Capriotti's, man, those sandwiches are fantastic. That's also in Murrieta Town Center. We have a Popeyes coming on Cal Oaks over there by the Quick Quack Car Wash. And Destination Smokehouse. If you haven't been to this is over on Calmia in Washington on the corner just north of City Hall. Fantastic barbecue. The sandwiches are great. Barbecue's fantastic. And can't say enough good things about that place. The next place, Best Pizza and Brew, now open in the old Boss Sushi space. That, of course, is over on the 215 in Los Alamos. And then we have Talia's Kitchen. Did that actually open?
It is open for
It is
dinner.
open, okay.
Dinner only starting at 5 p.m.
So that's the new restaurant in, of course, the Murrieta Hot Springs Resort. So again, we have a great deal of restaurants coming in. I'll be putting out a dining guide. We put out a dining guide every 2 years called Discover Murrieta. I'll be putting that out towards the end of the year, possibly first of the year. We'll have that in print form and also where you can scan it online. So you can look at all the different restaurants that we have. We'll have that categorized by, of course, the different ethnicities or whatnot. So. Oh yeah, that's correct. Talia's is open to the public. You do not have to stay at the resort to eat there. So they've got a great chef. It is the chef formerly from
Temecula Creek Inn.
Temecula Creek Inn. So yes, absolutely. So any
Whoever
questions?
said, oh, thank you. We appreciate that. Nice. Adam?
So yeah, any questions? Fire them away.
That's a good one.
I just have a comment.
Sure.
Yeah.
As you shared with social media, I was just caution people, give these restaurants a chance because everyone jumps on Facebook and complains the minute their doors open. And then they end up closing, and then the same people jump on and go, why did they close? It's because you're not giving them an opportunity to find their legs and,
Yeah,
and
I would agree with
fix
that.
things.
Everybody here started a job or a business at some point, and if everybody just caved on you the first day, boy, it would be really hard to get under your feet under you. Some of the restaurants we've had here have had shaky starts and become really, really good, and some have had shaky starts and not, right? And El Patron was an example of that. They started a little shaky, didn't make it, but very fortunate to have a new user coming in to fill that space. But the way we get more restaurants is to support the restaurants here. So if you really like dining in Murrieta, go out and dine in Murrieta. It helps get more restaurants in. All right, retail. So now open Trader Joe's. Is this one thing we can all agree on? We're happy that Trader Joe's is open?
Yes!
Thank God. All right. Trader Joe's open, and the eyeball test tells us they're doing very, very well because they're busy all the time. You get there at 9 a.m. when they just open. There's already people lined up outside like it's opening day. It's fantastic. What else do we got going on in that center? Oh, can we talk about that? Oh, no, different one. Oasis Indoor Training Center. So right up the street here up Jefferson, there's an indoor training facility, but it has a set of 2 professional indoor pickleball courts. So if you're looking for pickleball and you're getting tired of waiting at the parks, go check out Oasis Training Facility. It has the digital technology to scan your movements with your paddle and the ball, know how you're hitting it, know how fast you're hitting it, score how well you're doing, not based on just score, but on how you're actually hitting the pickleball. Very high tech. I've never seen anything like it. It's a beautiful place. And it's got a grand opening coming up. Christina's going to know exactly when the grand opening is. Is it on the 25th? It's on this Friday.
Friday the 25th.
Friday the 25th, they're going to have a grand opening celebration that I'm hopeful that the chamber is also putting out, but I'm not sure if they went through you guys. But we'll put it out on a newsletter. They're doing a grand opening celebration this Friday. Really cool indoor place, and it's just something that when we talk about the things that we tend to hear from residents, is we need more restaurants and we need pickleball. Check out our council meetings. There have been a lot of conversations about pickleball, so it's nice to see the private market come in and take up some of that space. And we're actively looking to bring more pickleball in, both publicly but also through private businesses, because there's some really great dining pickleball opportunities out there. Also coming soon is Indoor Golf World. Indoor Golf World is like indoor Top Golf. You get to go inside, you get to swing clubs, you get to play. They've got like 400 different golf courses you can play on. Big panoramic screens. They've got beer. You can sit, play golf, and hit your ball and have a drink while you're sitting in there. It's over on Murrieta Hot Springs near Winchester. So right over by that Aldi, over in that little shopping center. So it's called Indoor Golf World. They'll be opening up soon. And then, of course, has everybody seen that, Ross now open. Has anybody went to the new Ross? Ross number 2? We've got a second Ross. It's in the Orchard over by the new Home Depot. Has anybody seen a new Home Depot going over in the Orchard? For all the things we see, nobody's checking out the east side of the city. For goodness sakes, people. So we've got a brand new, so the Orchard has been a little bit vacant for a while. It's got the Super Target over there, but it didn't have a lot else going on. Home Depot is building their second facility in Murrieta. We like that because, once again, it's going to service a lot of the Menifee area as well. And so this is going to complement the Super Target very nicely, and they put a second Ross in there. So the Home Depot plans to open by the end of this year, hopefully by next month. And so in time for the holiday shopping season, and that and the Ross should really fill in that center, and then we'll work on getting a new restaurant in there as well. And
7 hotels in the pipeline.
oh my gosh.
7
hotels. One thing that comes along with population is the need for people to stay. Another piece is that we have a lot of medical in this city. Healthcare tends to generate a lot of medical tourism, meaning that when you're staying near or when you're going to a hospital, people need to stay near it to visit family, or they just want to be near their doctor if they're having any kind of a medical emergency or issue. Most of the hotels in the city are going on the eastern side of the city. So we've got 7 right now that are applied for in some stage of application or development in the city of Murrieta. We've always been under-hoteled. A city of 120,000 people should have a lot more than the 6 hotels we have. And one of our hotels is the Hot Springs Resort, and it generates its own traffic. It doesn't need any reason for people to stay. They go to stay at the Hot Springs, and a lot of the travelers that go there come from out of state, out of country. They come from all over the place. So generally, regular hotels, we only have 5. 5 hotels for 120,000 people is very under-hoteled. Hotels are interesting for cities, bless you, because every dollar of the tax that you pay for a hotel comes to the city. So it all funds police and fire. It all funds city services. Unlike every other use where retail, we only get a small percentage, hotels all come back to your community. So we're very excited to see more hotels come in. Plus it brings in outside spending. When people come stay there, they're eating in the restaurants, they're shopping in our stores, they're helping to create revenues for the city. So excited to see those coming in. And then medical additions. Every major hospital in the city has announced some form of expansion. The next you'll probably see is Loma Linda Medical Center wants to add another wing. That's a very expensive project, probably $500 million, but they've announced that they're fundraising for it right now. Everything they do is through fundraising. So you'll see a lot of expansion on the Eastern Corridor in terms of medical, but also over there's an ambulatory surgery center that's going to be going up just south of Loma Linda Medical Center, not the Kaiser one, it's the second one. There's also one going over on Hancock, just across the street from Rancho Springs. So there's 2 new ambulatory surgery centers coming in. That also drives needs for hotels because people need to stay close when they're having a surgery that's an outpatient. They don't want to be far away after that surgery. And now is the real time for questions. That is everything that we have to tell you about. But if you have any questions, and I know who did, I knew who was going to raise their hand right there in the back. Go for it.
Just a question, you hit a little bit on the end of it about the hospitals and stuff like that. With this influx that we have coming in, with all the apartments going up and the amount of people that are going to be coming here, our infrastructure, our hospitals, I know you talk about expansions, but even with those expansions, are we set up to handle this influx of people that are coming? And not even that, but we're talking streets and everything else. It's a lot coming at once.
Yes, so
that's not always good.
2 things. It is a lot, and when you have surges, the city doesn't always control that, but it is something it has to catch up to. And so healthcare, the good news is we have great relationships with our healthcare partners. They're very aware about the growth in the region. That's why they've been planning these things for so long. And you can see it even in Wildemar, where you've got the hospital expansion, the 7-story hospital expansion going on there for UHS. Our Rancho Springs has a plan for expansion. Our Loma Linda has a plan for expansion. And Kaiser is going to add a 7-story hospital. The problem is getting in line and how funding works out. Kaiser has to finish their Riverside expansion before they start working on the Murrieta expansion. Loma Linda had to finish their Loma Linda campus expansion before they work on their Murrieta expansion. Hard for these big organizations to spend that much money and do more than one thing at a time. So sometimes it's just about being in line and waiting for it to happen. Now that doesn't mean the timeline is going to match up with the population growth. There are some growing pains that happen in there where we're waiting for an expansion, but the population is growing in the meantime. And that creates challenges. But it's as fast as it can get done. The state of California has some stuff that you have to go through to build a hospital, OSHPD, which is very regulatory. It takes a long time. There's not a way to skip it. There's not a way to get around it. Some things just take longer. Hospitals are one of them. So that's why we try to encourage them as much as we can to be out in front of it as fast as they can.
And our law enforcement is going to be able to keep up with all of this?
Yes, our law enforcement does an amazing job of keeping up with this, and they're in touch with us all the time about our population growth because there's a direct correlation to how many officers you have as to what your population is. So they're always on top of that. With that that's why we talk about residential isn't enough to just fund the public services we provide, because when more residential comes in, we need to provide more officers and more firefighters. And when that comes in, we need more than just the property taxes. We need to grow retail in the ways we're discussing in order to fund those services, because we want to keep up on services. Exactly. in the back.
What time was that Oasis Training Facility grand opening on Friday?
That is a great question. It happens to coincide with the city's trunk or treat. I think it starts at 5 p.m. and our trunk or treat is at 5:30. I was going to head over a little early to say congratulations and then run off to trunk or treat. And I'll probably be dressed very odd to go to their grand opening. But it is this Friday night, and you'll see something come out of our newsletter. Yes?
Street conditions. West side of Terra was like third world country over here. What are we going to do about streets?
So part of the Measure T program was to provide funding for the resurfacing of streets, but you can't resurface the whole city at once. So they're doing one major arterial at a time. So if it's kind of the west side's turn, you will see it make its way over here. Every single street in the city is being resurfaced over a period of time.
Well, Jefferson's been at least 10 years that I'm aware of. Total trash from Calumet North.
And we agree that's why we're going to resurface it. But it's not, you look at the work we're doing on Hot Springs right now, doing the expansion, the widening, the resurfacing there. We have so many arterials that are major that need to get done that we can only do them so quickly. And it's a process. It's not just snap your fingers and redo it. Well, that's a good note to leave on, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out, talking about economic development and engineering, and we're happy to have you all here. We're here for any further questions you guys might have. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so very much, Scott. How about a round of applause for our economic development? I want you to understand that with all this growth that the state is mandating, they are not giving us any funds for our infrastructure. We have to figure that out ourselves, and that's what we are doing, and we're trying our very best to stay on top of it. It is a catch-up situation right now, but I guarantee you, we know what we need, and we're going to do everything we can to get it. I would like to thank the Chamber for this wonderful opportunity this morning to have this great interaction with our public. This is so unique for many cities do not have this. And for you to be able to come and talk to our directors and to learn more about our city, I just think it's an awesome forum for all of us. So thank you to the Chamber, your team, to the city, Kristen Crane, our Assistant City Manager, Scott, James, and the entire staff. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate you. And I'll turn it back over to Patrick Ellis.
I just want to thank you all again for coming out this morning. Feel free to, I know they're going to hang around for a bit. If you have questions still, whatever, hang out. Want to thank our sponsors again, Western Water, Avatar Website Designs, Duncan, and Social Indoor. And thank you again for coming out this morning.